Hey guys, Brent Pourciau, TopVelocity.net. Excited to talk to you about the pitch logic, which I've talked to you before, but I get to go in depth on the new Pro version. So basically you buy the ball, the pitch logic ball, and then you're gonna subscribe to the Pro version to get the Pro interface. Now this interface is something that you would get in with a high-end pitch metric system, ideally those optic or vector-based systems. And you're getting this for probably the cheapest price in the market or the best price on the market for this kind of technology. So I'm really super excited to say, hey, you can get all this great information without spending a lot of money, which is really, really awesome. I hate teaching guys new technology that is completely unaffordable because it seems silly when I'm teaching about something you'll never get your hands on. So I'm teaching you this because I know you can get your hands on it. So I'm going to go really in depth into how this system works to help you understand it. All right, so it starts like this. Once you get the product and you get subscribed to the Pitch Logic Pro, you're going to have this interface, and it's going to have top left corner, you're going to start off with your clock. It's your 2D clock. You're also going to have a 3D clock. And what it is the orange or yellow arrow is showing you right now is the lefty at the 11 o'clock slot. So the yellow or orange arrow is your pitch, your arm slot, right where you released. The blue is the spin axis. So for example, as a lefty, I could release, say 11 o'clock, but I've slightly got my wrist cocked up, or I'm more pronated and the spin axis is north or higher than the release point, and that's what's happening. So your spin axis is where the ball's spinning. So like I said, you could be releasing from your forearm could be going that way, but your wrist could be up, or you could be pronated, putting the spin axis higher. Okay, so if that's a 11-15 spin axis, it's slightly this way spinning. Basically, wherever it's spinning, draw the line in the middle. If you look at the 3D clock, it does that for you. You can see there it is with the line in the middle. Okay, spinning, even though the release point was a little more towards 11, it gets you really a good understanding of how this ball is moving. Then you got the braking force or the magnet force. That's how much force is pushing that ball, which to spin. So that is predicated on the location of the palm at pitch. If you're trying to throw a lot of vertical brake, we'll talk about later, you want the palm of the hand at release pointing in the direction you want all the spin. Like a breaking ball be pointing to the side of the ball, fastball pointing directly behind the ball, and you should create more magnet force on the ball. Let's go down to release. This is giving us the total spin metric. We all know about that, spin rate. This is reps per minute. So 2,160 reps per minute is what the ball is doing from this pitcher who threw the ball 92.9 miles per hour. So here's the thing. These balls have a mechanism or a Bluetooth sensor on the inside that are really, really excellent at determining how the ball is moving. Now, how reliable is the velocity? It is the biggest challenge from this technology. It's hard for that little Bluetooth unit to understand distance, where it is. It doesn't really know where it is. It's not connected to a GPS signal. So this is a little bit harder to predict. So that's why the spin bounces around a lot more, and I would recommend getting like a really good radar behind it, like I like the smart coaches with the pocket radars, to really kind of support how accurate this is. But the spin metrics are going to be ideal. Ideally, I would say the technology here is as good or better than an optical system, a system, or even probably a vector system. I'm just saying this out of opinion. I don't have the actual data on this. But just on opinion using these, this is as good or better or more reliable than the expensive optical or vector-based system. So I'm really excited about this technology. I use it a lot. And that's what you should be excited about too, because like you said, it's really affordable when you get your hands on all this exceptional ball metric data. Let's go to rifle spin, the next one down. That's like a bullet, right? The little side spin. And the more of that takes away from the total spin to push good movement. So if you have too much rifle spin, you'll have low spin efficiency. So the 89% 80 spin efficiency is pretty much determined on the backspin minus the rifle spin, okay? So you can see backspin is how much spin is behind it. That's going to really drive the movement, and that's coming off the total spin minus the rifle spin. And I mean, it's not exactly minus, obviously. It probably has something to do with the math between the side spin, which is this way, and all these spins together. I don't know the exact math on that, but you could figure out in some way, and that's how they're coming up with this. So you're trying to create a lot of spin, which for 92 miles an hour, 2100 is pretty average, and you're trying to remove as much rifle spin as you can to get more backspin behind the ball, creating the better movement depending on where the spin axis is. So if you're having good spin but not getting a lot of movement, say you'd have like 12 vertical and you had -5 horizontal, then it's more than likely the rifle spin, too much rifle spin, too lower spin efficiency. So if we get that up, we should see this being up as well. So if we look down at vertical movement, that's, like I said, can be determined on the spin coming from the spin axis. If I have a more, say, 9 o'clock from a lefty spin axis or a 3 o'clock righty spin axis, I should have more horizontal movement than vertical movement because it's going this way. And ideally, a more effective pitcher is going to have these more separated, meaning if they're both, say, 15-15, it's kind of moving in between a range, it's not going to be as deceptive to the hitter as if it's a hard 20 and a very low horizontal. Like for a lefty, if this was, say, let's get this to 0, because a minus horizontal means it's going to the left arm side. A positive horizontal means going to the right arm side. If we got this to 0 and then we push that up to 21, that would be a really impressive pitch at good vertical lift. Also, to understand that how spin rate works with velocity is the average velocity comes with an average spin rate, and the hitter will hear this spin rate, see this spin rate, and if it's average, meaning if it syncs up on the averages to that velocity, it'll be perceived, the timing should be perceived correctly, meaning they should have good timing to the pitch. If you had a lot of spin that's well over the averages, say 2,500 at 92 miles an hour would be a little higher, 2,600 would be a lot higher, so it'd be in that elite range, it will jump on the hitter. So it will come in faster, or it'll spin or move faster than what they're expecting. Or if it's below, if it's like 1,800, then it will more than likely they might be on top of the ball because it's falling out of the averages. So anything out of the averages is always more effective, okay? Obviously, with velocity, it's a little bit more effective if you're above the averages, but it still can work, right? So you're just sitting here trying to get as much movement in one plane. So if you want a lot of movement in the vertical plane, you have to have more vertical spin, spin axis up with a lot of true spin. And if you want to get more movement in the horizontal plane, you're going to have a lot of spin in that plane and with a lot of total spin. And that's going to make a more effective pitch. So the horizontal movement should move hard in, say on a righty from a lefty, or from a righty, right? Move hard in. And more vertical spin should more hard up, which the hitter should miss below. Or the horizontal spin on the inside, the hitter should miss to the right. So that's where it gets effective. This is where it's in the zone. Let's go over here. This is the 3D representation of this. Really, really cool. So this is something, the kind of technology you get on the more advanced optical or vector systems. You're getting it here with the Bluetooth system. So what you're seeing is, first let's look at the pitch selector. This is the pitch. It's giving you the date and the time and the velocity that you're looking at here. I can go over here and hit the compare and compare it to other pitches, okay? Which is really cool. Now I see 2 pitches. So if I wanted to compare my fastball to my slider and see how they're working together, that would be great. So we can look at it in different angles. I can look at it from here, and the cool thing is I can just go in, just like my phone, drag it and move the viewfinder. Ideally, it's cool to just use these viewpoints here. The hat is the pitcher's view. The glove is the catcher's view. The left arrow is the left side, right arrow is right side, and then the hitter is the hitter's perspective. Okay, I'm going to go to the catcher's perspective. You can see now, well, let's go from the pitcher's perspective. You can see now, this is all when he was moving his glove and everything, and then he released the pitch. You can see the release points look different. I'm not sure. These might be 2 different pitchers, but that wouldn't be good. We want to have the same release points. Say if these were, these are 2 fastballs, ideally it would help to be the same. Specifically if it was breaking ball, you wouldn't want to change your release points. So that's helping us determine that. And I can kind of open my fingers like that, and I can get a little closer if I want and get in there, okay? And ideally, I could use this as well to work on tunneling. Like if I'm trying to tunnel these pitches better, right? Whoops, knocked it out. I'm trying to tunnel these pitches better, get them on the same plane and breaking from the same plane, say my fastball to slider. This would help me figure that out. How well am I doing that? This is by far what really makes this crazy valuable. You can work on the deception of all your pitches going together. So I would first categorize my pitches before I throw each pitch. So what you do is you come down here to the pitch tagging. You can select the little man, and then you can put, if you're having different users, you could put the user here. Then you select the pitch. So like fastballs, cutters, sliders, curveballs, all that can be selected in here. And then you can also categorize it in other ways over here. And then now you know what these pitches are as you put them in. You can also use the camera and film them. So I can hit the camera button. Obviously it's seeing me in the studio here. I can flip the camera around, which is looking at me. Then I hit record, and it will literally record each pitch for you, and you don't have to touch it. You'll know I recorded the pitch when it says video and there's a little icon here. You can actually then click it, go back and watch it. And ideally check on these, because I've had sometimes where it didn't fully record it. So check each one, make sure it's recording, make sure you're recording the way you like it. I would recommend you change the frames per second to 240 if you're planning to do some back shots, basically shots behind, say where you're throwing. So I'm going to do, actually I don't think this iPad does 240. Yeah, this iPad doesn't, but the phone will do 240. So I'm going to do some back shots and get it out of the hand. And I'm going to need at least 240, so because the arm moves so fast, to really see many frames to understand where my fingers are. So that's great to put it behind you, recording you, picking up the pitch, picking up the view of the pitch and where you released and how it's moving in the 3D graph here. So that's exciting to be able to do that, analyze, and really, really work at your pitch development. The only things left here, the delivery, it's showing you basically when you came set, where you released the pitch from where you came set, 7.3 feet. Also, it'll do backwards where it went, if it went backwards. It looks at even velocity across the plate, which is really cool, and some other metrics here as well. The other important thing to note is this little share button. Once you hit that, you can export your video. You can also export the pitch metrics for that pitch, and it tells you, you can basically say, yeah, I want to, when I select this, I pick where I want to send it, then it'll let you select what you're exporting. You also have the delete. You can delete a pitch, and then the pitch count is how many you've thrown, but also it'll do pitch age. I throw a pitch, it'll start counting the seconds after you threw the pitch. It's great to have when you throw a pitch and you want to know if it picked it up. You just look there and you'll see it just started counting. Good chance it just got your pitch. Now the most important part too is connecting it, and that's this little thing. So when I take the ball, make sure it's charged up on your charger. I'm going to hold it really close to the unit. You see it go yellow. Then I'm going to select the button and let it load and connect. Now it's connected. When it's a yellow-green, it means I'm moving it. But when I stop, actually it's the other way around. When I'm moving it, it's the green. When I stop, it goes to that yellow-green or that yellow. I want to make sure that it's there before I throw. See, that means I'm moving it. I want to make sure it stops. So I come set. Okay, it should stop. I don't see it doing it exactly right now. Maybe it's doing it the other way around for me. I'm going to come set, see what happens. Okay, there it goes. So it's the green when you become set. Then when you throw, it's going to go yellow. Then you do it again, and you don't want to throw until it goes green again. No, now I can throw. That's important because it sets the starting point for it to work. All right, so that's it. Really, really exciting. So you can take this at TopVelocity. All the biomechanical work we're doing, this fits right into it. Because once you develop your good velocity mechanics, high velocity mechanics on your fastball, all your pitch grips are going to start to be developed in these different wrist positions at release. We don't change anything to that point. We should that way be able to have the same consistent release point every time. We should be able to tunnel everything off that, which would be really, really effective in deceiving the hitter and building your pitches. So if you want to use this with the TopVelocity pitch development, we've got the David Aardsma did our ex-MLB pitcher. David Aardsma did our pitch grips course. 14 different pitches that he goes through. I would recommend you get that and pair it up with this. No better interface to really develop your pitches off the TopVelocity method. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd love to help. Big fan, huge fans of PitchLogic and the PitchLogic Pro. I highly recommend you get it.